Good evening, YouTube. We are live. It is your boy Zulu Gullah. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Coming back again with another one. And glad to be back. Hopefully, I can again, keep streaming for y'all, going live for y'all. Uh, if nothing comes up, I'm gonna do my best. So I seen this covered by Big Truck Series Review, and I think I seen this covered by the Passport OG. I have to go back and check. I know it was two content creators that covered this issue, and they did pretty well. I got to give my stance on it, and I'm gonna be a little bit blunt about it because we're in the age where people write articles and they're blatantly lying and being biased more than ever. But I think that's the biggest issue that needs to be looked at when these articles are written. You can literally see the lies and the bias jump off the page at this particular point. And it's not solving anything, and it's not helping anybody. Um, Really and truly, they try to give you a mixed signal with this article. They try to make it seem as if young men were in need, yet at the same time make them the villain. And you have to be an honest person as well as smart to decipher what is being written related to what is going on. And people like me or people like or people of that nature, they don't get the credibility or they don't get the ear. It's not even about the credibility. It's about the ear so the message can get to where it needs to get to in order for something to be done for anybody that wants to solve problems and fix things, right? The media ought to be ashamed of themselves. Anybody involved in media, whatever level of media it is, ought to be ashamed of themselves um, for this nonsense that's going on. And these issues are serious, and it's going to destroy the the society, or it's just going to cause a major disruption at some point. And stuff like this can be prevented if they don't stop this foolishness, right? Now, when you look at what these young boys are going through, you have to really, really, really be compassionate and understanding. Also, you have to be very informative with the truth about the social environment and the dating market. And just tell it like it is. It's trash. It's trash. It's toxic. It's very damaging. It doesn't lead to anything but further problems, right? These young boys are under attack. And I didn't even put this in the description. They're under attack for having natural masculinity, first and foremost. Their masculinity is being tainted and diluted, right? Before we get to anything, you got to really think about that. They're told not to do this, not to do that, that their natural instincts um, program them to do before they even understand where that knowledge or that programming is coming from. You know what I'm saying? It's coming from their genetics and biology, right? And people are telling them to go against it. Then you start getting to the social environment, and it's like the social environment is controlled by feminist or feminine elements. And it's like they're the authorities of the social environment. which is a farce, and I reject it. I proceed socially in any kind of market as a free market, and I'm going to be myself, and I'm going to be my natural self, and nothing is going to stop me. And that message needs to be passed down to these young boys to have some resolve, some wherewithal, some strength, some endurance, some long suffering to get past this nonsense. And the only way for this to shift, is to make sure these young boys are primed up and ready to go, and that they get better over time. I will say that between dating experiences and sex, these young boys are very limited, which also means that they have very little opportunity, and that also that there's a fairness issue. And the mindset of women has been spoiled, and also they have become unreasonable. A young girl is not on a young girl's path. A young girl is skipping over a lot of stuff to get instant gratification from somebody older or somebody who is basically an anomaly as far as being within their age range and having a lot of resources. And usually they're sharing those men, regardless of age. Men with more money and resources and things like that, they're sharing those men. So they're not even really in relationships like they claim to be. That's something I should have just went ahead and pointed out as well. I'm glad that I thought about that right now. That they claim to be in relationships, and more than likely, some may be, some aren't, and a lot of them are sharing the same men. And that's just about any woman of any age that's dealing with men who they deem high quality and appealing. They're sharing those men. So that's another statement that could be questioned as far as them saying that they're, the percentage of young women that's actually in relationships compared to young men, right? So these young boys don't have a chance. These women, they're not taking the steps. They're not taking the steps of a normal person, of a person their age, and they're not taking the steps along with the male counterpart. They're not taking the steps at the same time and walking the same path. They're just not doing it. And these young boys are just like most men, even like the passport bros who already said we've tried, but they're not old enough yet to attain the finances and the means to move about in a certain way, in a certain manner. So they have to do what they have to do at the particular time. I don't even think it's an issue of porn, like the article claims. And then porn is on everybody. I can tell you, I think it was a statistic back around 2010 or 11, somewhere between 2010 and 11, when I was living in Louisville, Kentucky, that Louisville, Kentucky led the nation in porn downloads back then. And it didn't specify too much between genders, and that's something that you got to understand. Like, it's a lot of women involved in porn. It's not just these young boys. These women get to make the porn or star in the porn or make money off the porn. And younger girls are coming in at a higher rate just with OnlyFans alone. So, and women control OnlyFans. Women are pretty much, you could probably say about around 90+%, going toward 100%. OnlyFans is dominated by women content creators. And stuff like this is not being said. And y'all don't want me to get on the dating market. I've hammered the dating market so bad that even if my commentaries and material on the dating market ever was to be taken serious in a mass study, um, it would decimate the dating market. It would decimate it. But right now, guys are going off hunches and experiences versus actual history and understanding the science of why the dating market is the way it is, right? But if they did a study on my breakdowns, it would decimate the dating market. The women would have no chance. The young boys would gladly withdraw before they can even be put in a lot of tricks and traps as they got up in age. You know, because the core of the men that suffer bad relationships, bad dating experiences, divorces, public shame, humiliation, embarrassment are the guys that attempted to date at a certain age, a little bit in the mid to upper 20s, especially, you know, when you start getting into 30s and 40s, you know, guys just getting divorced. You know, the young guys will understand coming out of high school that dating is something to not to be delved into, right? It's amazing that they want to blame everything on men. They don't want to blame these women for sleeping with too many men, high body counts, dating multiple guys, meeting up with multiple guys, uh, misuse of the word or the concept of friend and using friend as uh, a game tactic, a game tool, you know, to manipulate men into getting in line and being stored and put away while they play with other different men and try to, you know, reach back and figure out, you know, which one is good enough to deal with since this didn't work out, or just all out use them for money or whatever. You know, something to do, entertainment, you know, the foodies, food dates and stuff like that. Um, again, I still have not seen no criticism of the woman that went on Steve Harvey's show and said she went on 100 dates in 1 year. And you know she slept with plenty of guys that year. And nobody said anything. Nobody said anything to the effect of you shouldn't do that, that's inappropriate, that's too much, you know, and, you know, did you play some of these guys? Did they question how she treated, you know what I'm saying, some of these guys out of 100 because she just acted like she just couldn't find anybody and she was just doomed. But really, you know, who goes on 100 dates in 1 year? It's only 52 weeks in a year, man. It's crazy. So we're gonna have to start protecting these young men and really get this message out here stronger to them. If they are in danger of being an incel, or if they are withdrawn to the point to where they're not doing something productive, something more damaging to themselves psychologically, we need to get the message out there so they know how to get away from that. And that's the case, but I don't think it's the case at a 60% rate. That could be like a quarter of those guys or less, you know, because I see a lot of young guys. I do talk to quite a few young guys here and there, and I know a lot of young guys are talking about getting their passports. They're seeing it. A lot of young guys are mentioning Kevin Samuels. I'm not a Kevin Samuels supporter, but, you know, young guys have been listening to his backlog. I know a lot of young guys that are in college. Most of the ones that I have talked to within the past few months all are in college. And, you know, they say pretty much the same thing, that the girls mess with too many guys, and that it ain't even, some of them girls, it's not even about the money. They just say they just mess with too many guys, and they don't want to go through the trauma, potential pain and hurt, you know, trying to be serious at the particular moment, you know. And some of them are really interested in traveling between studies. So you really have a situation out here where the public and the media has to stop being gender biased and has to start calling stuff out like it is, the bad behavior uh, across the board. And if some areas of bad behavior belong more so responsibility-wise to one specific group, then it is what it is. It needs to be called out. Um, I do know some complaints from younger men about dealing with older women. And it's, like I know some younger men who have been used by 40-year-old women. You know, these younger men have told me that they know all too well about 40-year-old women cheating on their husbands, sleeping with them, and they're not really supposed to do much but come over, shower, and have sex with them, long sex until they're satisfied, and then, they are to go. It's not even a relationship thing. So people talking about the accusations against the passport bros and then actually the footage and proof of the women and what they actually do when they travel. Well, the women are doing it here too to young men in their 20s. Or maybe, however, wherever the age gap lies at, that's what they're doing. And I just don't allow one particular group to not be held responsible. I'm just not going to allow that. So when you get into a few more things like understanding, it's just a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. I'm going to say that on every stream just about from here on out. It's just a no-brainer. You see what's going on. It's obvious. They want to put this off on younger men or men in general. A woman cannot complain about a bad date when they don't even contribute to a date. They just want to get a date and use up a date. They don't even contribute to a date. And they don't give you anything to feel good about by offering them anything, period. Because you have to pay attention to what they say. A bad date. Well, it's not a bad date. What it is you just can't get what you want, and you can't get the number of men to respond to you that you would prefer, and you want to try out a bunch of different men and receive while doing it at the same time. The old dating strategy they had, or the dating benefits they had, was it a phenomenon? Was it? It definitely was a reality. I'm just trying to figure out how to put it in words. I know it rested in men acting a certain way, definitely being unaware at the time and being under the mindset or presumption, training, influence of that you're supposed to offer dates freely, openly, and blindly, but men woke up. And that's what they're not used to. They're not, it's not that the men wouldn't mind dating a woman, but a man doesn't want to date a woman who's dealing with a bunch of different men. It's a waste of his time. And they call it competition. Like, I'm supposed to keep spending my money while you go around other men, and other men are spending their money, and there's somebody that you are already having sex with, or somebody you already like, and you don't have the decency and integrity enough to tell me, keep your money, I don't like you, or, I'm not interested, and I don't want you to waste your time and money. They won't, if you said that to men from the very beginning, they would have better results in dating because they wouldn't be juggling a bunch of different men, using a bunch of different men. The men that wouldn't get used wouldn't feel disrespected, upset, or otherwise. And will proceed on and be happily ready to look to date somebody else. Uh, and when I say date, really, y'all know I mean courting. But they don't do that. They love this abundance. They love this game. They love not having integrity. They love using men at their disposal. They love juggling and rotating a bunch of different men for different reasons. But it has dwindled. They were used to that for a long time. It's starting to get more scarce and scarce, and it has dwindled. And this is where the term, oh, I don't want a bad date. And the coffee date has been accused of just guys being cheap. No, guys don't want to spend a bunch of money on a woman who they're unsure about. And they have to gauge, they have to check and see the likelihood of how far this may go and how far or how they should go about their efforts in pushing to see, you know what I'm saying, what can be done. So you're being vetted kind of early in the way they're supposed to do it for something simple, low cost, you know, for conversation, to check for red flags, you know, to get some questions answered. And, you know, basically to just see, like, you know, does she have a rotation of men? Like, am I stepping into a cesspool? But these women don't want to admit that. They want to come up with other reasons. Oh, he's being cheap. And I work more than this and that. No, that's not what it is anymore. So that's not being talked about. I mean, all across the board, you know, when you do articles like this, you have to look at the pros and cons of both sides, and you have to list them fairly. And it's not being done. And that's why these guys are out of here. And we're gonna continue to destroy this dating market, and we're going to continue to take dating, relationships, and marriage away from women in this country, and also keep men from being tricked by the government and the system into these marriage laws and family court laws and child support laws. We're going to stop this by just not participating. And you can't make us participate. And you're going to have to change the laws on the books, and the women are going to have to learn to operate with more integrity and respect. That's just the bottom line. And we will save these young boys, because we're about to pump out the message harder than ever. The passport bros, nobody has an answer for them. Nobody can stop them. Nobody can stop us. And we're going to double and triple down. I think this article is basically a reminder to all men out there what we need to do for these young boys. We need to mentor them, and we need to give them the steps, a pathway. And I'm about to do it right now, verbally, right? You know, I don't recommend college. I recommend trade school or the military. The military, I'm on the fence about, but it's an easier, faster way for you to have means to travel and see the world versus staying here and possibly, you know what I'm saying, taking longer than normal to get to where you can move about by acquiring a passport on your own and the finances and resources on your own. But I recommend trade school and the military. I recommend fitness always. I recommend a proper diet. I recommend prayer. I recommend learning any kind of material, especially if you don't have to pay for it, teaching you about financial management, credit, insurance. Young boys, you need to figure out all those things and how to make it work for a 20-year or more span. So by the time you're in your late 30s, early 40s, you're already retiring out the country. If you don't get rich along the way, and understand starting businesses through LLCs. Once you start your LLCs, open a business account, and then start building business credit if you can get a business loan right off once you have your LLC incorporated and have your business account set up. That is the pathway. No drinking, no smoking, maybe a little bit of sipping, casual drinking for adult purposes. But as far as the dating market, don't date. If you want to court, don't court until you're ready. Don't court until you have your own routine of going to work, paying your bills, managing the budget and saving your money. You have accounts in place. You have insurance in place. You started at least some type of small retirement fund that can be transferred over into, transferred and follows you as your career grows. Don't get caught up on material stuff. Don't get caught up on what you see on TV. Don't try to go for the Lamborghini and dream about stuff like that. Just stay in a good headspace and work your way up. That's what I want you to do. Do video games in moderation. The porn. Keep it to a minimum. Maybe you can get by without it. If you're going to have sex, use condom. Don't put your mouth on no female, no raw sex. Do not put your mouth on any female. Do not kiss these females. If you find something casual, fine. Do not fall in love. Do not get married. When you want to get married, really look at the things you want for your marriage and for your family, if you want that in your future. And you're going to have to not just look in America. I'm saying bypass America altogether, but study other countries and cultures and traditions and compare it to safety foremost in those countries, and then relate it to like the look of the woman that you're looking for as well. We'll go over all that as much as possible, but I want this message to get out there to these young boys that they can't put articles like this on you in this manner. This is highly disrespectful. It's unacceptable. This is your boy Zulu Gunner. Like, share, subscribe, comment. I'm out, and I will talk to y'all later. Y'all have a good night. Hopefully, I may get the notion to do another stream pretty soon. I'm looking at material stuff like this, so I may put something out there. Just know I want to get something to y'all. And again, I hate that I have to leave when I do, but I always come back. But have a good night, good evening, and we'll get back with y'all. Be safe.